Hey, Dad!
What's the matter, buddy?
This game won't fit.
Well, that's a Super Famicom game. It's not going to fit in there because we have to do something to the inside of the Super Nintendo before it'll fit.
How do you do that?
Alright, gonna show everybody how to play a Super Famicom game in your North American Super Nintendo. Super easy. The region locking on the Super Nintendo was actually a physical thing. So what it was all you see on the back of your Super Nintendo cartridges, there's those little indents on them, and they actually fit into some little tabs that were inside of the Super Nintendo itself. And then you look and see on the Super Famicom cartridges, in addition to them being kind of a more rounded shape, they don't have those indentions, and that's why they won't fit in a normal Super Nintendo. Well, theirs are normal too, but ours are North American versions. So I'm just going to show you what you need to take them apart to get to those tabs, and how to take apart both the original model Super Nintendo and then the one that I always called the Super Nintendo Mini, but I'd say the new Classic is probably going to take over that moniker, so we'll probably have to go to calling this one the Super Nintendo 2 or the Model 101, which is actually its real name. So first off, I know a lot of you are probably going to tell me in the comments to just break it off with some needle nose pliers, because there's a lot of people that do that. There's a lot of things online that say just stick your pliers down in here, grab those tabs and yank them out. Which, if it works for you, great, but I'm kind of clumsy and I'm always afraid that I'll mess up my little pin connector in there, you know, jerking around with those pliers, so I like to take them apart and do that. And then I found out once you get them apart that actually a good pair of wire cutters is actually a little better for getting tabs out. So what you're going to need to take it apart is, of course, your Super Nintendo. You're going to need a game bit. A 4.5mm game bit is what that's called. They usually sell them in pairs. So the 4.5s are for taking the consoles apart, and then there's a 3.8 one as well, and that's for taking apart cartridges, Nintendo stuff. Now the 4.5 game bit will also take apart a Sega Genesis card too. So you're going to need that. You're going to need your Phillips screwdriver once you get it open. Pair of needle nose pliers, pair of wire cutters, and a can of air. The can of air is because once you get these things open, they haven't been open in a while, they're going to have dust and fur balls and stuff in them, and you're going to want to clean them out. And then I always like to keep a little bowl around to dump my extra screws in. This Super Nintendo has actually already had the tabs taken out of it, so I'm still going to go ahead and show you how you want to take it apart and things you want to look out for. There's a little spring in there that actually holds your reset button back in place, and it's a kind of a pain to take on and off, and you have to take it off if you're going to do this method for removing your pins. So let's go ahead and we'll take apart the Super Nintendo. That part just lifts right off, and then inside here you've got the guts of your Super Nintendo. This is relatively clean because I've had it open recently. Go ahead and there you go. Dust bunnies coming out of there. Just slide that out of the way because we're not doing anything with this part of it today. And then this is where we want to get at. So you're just going to flip this over. And then right here is where you're going to need your Phillips screwdriver. Because this piece right here is what has the tabs in it normally, internally. So we're going to take this out. And then right here, I don't know if you can see it very good, but right there is the little spring for your reset button. and we're gonna have to take that off too because this whole little casing's got to lift out. So what I was saying, it's kind of a pain to get on and off, so I'm gonna take it off first with my needle nose pliers right here. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Phillips screws to take out. Alright, screws are out. Just lift it up. And ordinarily, I don't know if you can see where they've been taken out, but right in here, there'd be 2 little clip things like that. And I will usually just take a pair of wire cutters and just cut them off just like that. Something that you want to keep next to you when you're doing this is a Super Famicom cart, because with those things in place, it won't go in there. So what you're looking for is for it to come all the way down to the bottom there, just like a regular Super Nintendo cart would do. See how it comes flush to the bottom of it? Ordinarily with the clips in, this Super Famicom cart won't do that, but with them removed, it goes right on down to the bottom. So what you want to do is clip them off and then kind of use the wire cutters or your needle nose pliers to get it broke as flush as you possibly can, just enough so that that'll come flush to the bottom of that little tray. Alright, so now we're going to put it all back together and then we'll open up the other one. Started to put it back together, and then I remembered I want to show you guys the spring piece. Don't forget your little spring, because that's what keeps your reset button moving back and forth like it's supposed to. So you see this little spring that was in there. It's got 2 little hooks on each side. Try to get a little closer picture of it. There it is. There's one hook. I'm holding the other one in the pliers. And then on your Super Nintendo, we've got these 2 little spots right here that you hook each hook around, and it's what moves your reset button for you. Alright, so I'm going to try to get that back on there, and it's kind of a booger, but I just wanted you guys to see, because it does not like to stretch far enough to get where it needs to go. Unbelievable. I've never got it back on so fast. But there's the spring, and now our reset button moves like it's supposed to. Alright, I'm going to finish getting it put back together like I said, and then we'll open up the other one. So now, got the Super Nintendo back up where it needs to be. So we're going to take apart the Mini, or the Model 101. So we're just going to flip it over, and it only has 4 security screws in it. So we're just going to go ahead and take it apart. It also has no little spring to deal with. Screws out. Let's take them apart. Pull the dirt out. Set that other side apart because we're not using it. Pull the dirt and hair out. And then this one has 3 Phillips screws on it. Alright, got the screws out. Just let that little piece off. Pull it out a little bit too. Something right there. Something sticky in there. I haven't had this one apart before. And then there's that little tray again. So if you can see it, right there, that's one of the little clips inside of there, and that is what these indents fit into on your Super Nintendo cart, and that's what keeps it flush so it can touch your pin connector. And if we'll see the Famicom cart. Doesn't fit. Won't go down far enough to hit it. So that's why we want to take those clips out. We're going to take the wire cutters, kind of upside down, right in there on that clip. Alright. Try to get you a better picture of it, but you'll know what you're doing once you get in it. But you get it right on there in that clip. You just squeeze them. It comes right off. Same to this one. Didn't quite get it down in there. Okay. And then just you want to keep your Famicom cart close by so you can see if you got enough off, which I don't have enough off yet, so I'm gonna have to work at it a little bit. These needle noses, that's a good thing to keep around. And just break enough off to where it's relatively flush. And then you work at it with your tools long enough. I actually ended up going and getting a sharp knife and getting the rest of that off of there. It's a little bit harder to get to, or harder molded plastic or something than the normal size Super Nintendo. It was hard to get it all off with those. So anyway, you get those little tabs broke off almost as flush as you can, and then your Super Famicom cart will fit in there just like the Super Nintendo cart. Just like that. And then you can put it back together, and then we'll test both of these systems out and make sure that they're going to play it. Alright, let's get them put back together. Okay, so here's our Super Famicom cart. Here's our regular Super Nintendo, and let's make sure that this thing is going to work. Put it in there. Flip her on. Oh, there we go. Awesome. Mario and Wario. And those lines, it's not really displaying on the display that you'll be able to see when you play the game. It's just the way my camera records that. Alright, so let's get the Model 101 in here and see what it's gonna do. Okay, so here's our our SNES Mini, as I used to call them. And there's our Super Famicom cartridge. Let's make sure this thing's gonna work. There. On. What do we get? Looks good. Looks like we're working. Awesome. Alright guys, so that's how you do it. That is how you play a Super Famicom cart on your North American Super Nintendo. If you have any questions or comments or anything, make sure you drop them down below, and make sure you like and subscribe, share with everybody you know. Thanks a lot for watching. Good night.